Listen closely. The airport starts evaluating you long before you ever hand over your boarding pass. A 45-year-old business traveler once showed up at LAX wearing the wrong hoodie. What followed wasn't random bad luck. He spent 45 minutes in secondary screening, missed his flight, and lost an important meeting. His mistake wasn't illegal, it was invisible. He had no idea certain clothing choices quietly raise flags at airports. After reviewing over 200 real traveler complaints and speaking with former airport security supervisors, a clear pattern emerged. Modern airports operate on layered risk assessment systems designed to observe, compare, and prioritize passengers before they reach the checkpoint. And by 2026, these systems have become far more sensitive. What you wear, how you move, and even how you organize your bag can influence whether your screening is quick or painfully slow. This isn't about punishment, it's about prioritization. Subtle signals can push you onto a different screening path without a single word being spoken. I'm breaking down all 12 of these hidden triggers, and pay close attention to number 7 because it's responsible for more missed flights than any other item on this list. Let's begin.
Number 12. Your clothing can trigger instant screening flags. Here's what most travelers are never told. At airport security, what you're wearing isn't style, it's information. Screening equipment doesn't recognize outfits, it analyzes shape, density, and irregular shadows. Certain clothing combinations quietly make that analysis harder. Loose layers, oversized jackets, heavy coats, raised hoods, or excessive coverage don't just slow the scanner, they reduce clarity, and reduced clarity often means extra checks. A 28-year-old traveler once wore a thick winter coat while flying to a warm weather destination. The scanner detected inconsistent density patterns. She was pulled aside for a full pat-down and barely made her connection. Nothing illegal, just clothing that didn't match the context. Here's what most people overlook. Passengers who dress too formally for short flights or wear clothing that doesn't align with their destination's climate can stand out just as much as those who dress too casually. Mismatch attracts attention. What to do instead? Choose fitted but not tight clothing with minimal metal. Avoid oversized hoodies, bulky outerwear, and excessive layers. Skip thick belts, reinforced undergarments, and footwear with hidden metal threads. Neutral colors and simple designs work best. At airports, the goal isn't expression, it's blending in. Rule of thumb, boring equals forgettable. Forgettable moves faster. Insider move, if you need layers for a cold cabin but you're heading somewhere warm, pack them in your carry-on and put them on after security. Clear scans mean fewer questions. And this is just the first layer. Clothing is only the beginning of how airports quietly assess you.
Number 11. What actually happens to your bag after check-in? Most travelers feel instant relief the moment their suitcase disappears down the belt. That relief is misplaced. The second your bag is tagged, it enters a tightly monitored system. Every scan is time-stamped, every diversion is logged. Nothing about checked luggage is casual. Here's what airlines rarely explain. Your bag isn't evaluated alone. Its weight, density, and contents pattern can be compared against your passenger profile, your route, your travel history, and whether you're flying solo or with others. A 45-year-old engineer once checked a bag for a short business trip. The system flagged it as unusually heavy for that route. Before he even reached the gate, his suitcase had been diverted, opened, inspected, and re-scanned without any announcement or delay notification. Bags that are unusually heavy, unusually light, or traveling on routes considered sensitive can be pulled for extra screening without your knowledge. This happens quietly in the background to keep the terminal moving. What works? Pack neatly and logically. Avoid excessive plastic wrapping, aluminum foil, or cluttered layering that complicates scans. Place electronics visibly inside the bag rather than burying them. Never put valuables in checked luggage. Always use TSA-approved locks. Non-approved ones are often removed without notice. Pro tip, if you're checking expensive equipment, photograph the contents before closing the bag. If something goes missing or arrives damaged, documentation matters. And luggage isn't the only thing under scrutiny.
Number 10. Body scanners detect more than most people realize. When you step into a body scanner and raise your arms, most passengers assume agents see nothing more than a generic outline. That assumption is outdated. Modern scanners are designed to flag density shifts, shape irregularities, and inconsistencies in how clothing sits on the body. Liquids, paper, layered fabric, medical devices, or oddly placed items can all trigger alerts, even when they're perfectly legal. A 52-year-old woman once traveled with a medical device worn under her shirt. The scanner flagged an irregular density pattern. She was pulled aside for nearly 20 minutes while staff confirmed it was legitimate. Here's what many people don't realize. While agents typically see a neutral digital figure, operators can request closer inspection when something doesn't align. At the same time, officers are trained to observe behavior, how you walk, how tightly you grip your belongings, and whether your movements appear tense or unnatural. What to do? If you have a medical device, carry documentation. Avoid extra layers in unexpected areas. Walk naturally. Maintain normal eye contact. Keep your breathing steady. If flagged, stay calm and explain clearly. The phrase that helps, "I have a medical device. I can show documentation." Quick note, if this breakdown is useful, like and subscribe so you don't miss future insider airport intel. The next point is where even seasoned travelers get caught off guard. Number 9. Random screening is rarely truly random. Almost everyone has heard it. You were selected randomly. It sounds neutral, it sounds fair, and in many cases, it's misleading. Behind that phrase are preset criteria and automated screening rules that review tickets before you ever reach the checkpoint. Last-minute bookings, one-way flights, unusual connections, cash payments, and routes considered higher risk can all quietly increase scrutiny. A 62-year-old retiree once booked a last-minute one-way ticket to visit her daughter and paid in cash. At the airport, she was randomly selected for extra screening that lasted over 90 minutes. She missed her flight. Behavior plays a role too. Excessive nervousness, avoiding eye contact, unexplained sweating, or rigid posture can draw attention. There are also subtler triggers many travelers never suspect: flying frequently without checked luggage, traveling alone often, sharing a name similar to someone on a watch list, or having very little visible travel history. How to reduce risk? Book flights at least 2 weeks in advance when possible. Use credit or debit cards instead of cash. Stay composed. Make natural eye contact. Breathe steadily. If pulled aside, cooperate calmly. Resistance escalates scrutiny. Insider move? Programs like TSA PreCheck or Clear significantly reduce extra screening. The cost is small compared to the time and stress saved, but this is where airport monitoring becomes even more invasive. Number 8. Your checked bag can be opened without warning. Most travelers believe that once a suitcase is checked in, it stays sealed unless something goes seriously wrong. That belief is inaccurate. In many countries, including the United States, airport security has the legal authority to open checked luggage without notifying you in advance. Even locking your bag doesn't prevent this. TSA-approved locks can be opened and closed again using master keys. Non-approved locks are often removed entirely, sometimes without explanation, and typically without compensation. A 38-year-old photographer once packed camera gear in a checked bag secured with a non-TSA lock. When he landed, the lock was gone. The bag had clearly been opened and one lens was missing. Inside was a standard inspection notice. No reimbursement followed. Why does this happen? Dense packing, items wrapped in opaque materials, aluminum foil, heavy plastic wrapping, or tightly layered contents. All of these make scans harder to interpret. When clarity drops, inspection becomes more likely. How to protect yourself? Pack cleanly and logically. Avoid unnecessary wrapping. Keep electronics clearly visible. Use TSA-approved locks only. Never place valuables in checked luggage. Pro tip: if you absolutely must check high-value items, declare them and purchase separate insurance. Airline liability is often limited unless value is officially declared in advance. And the next one doesn't just slow you down, it can cost you money. Number 7. Airport staff can see how much you paid for your ticket.
Most passengers assume a boarding pass only displays basic details: name, seat, and destination. That's only part of the picture. When airline or airport staff scan your boarding pass, they can typically view your fare type. That includes whether you booked on sale, paid full price, used miles, or purchased through a third-party site. Officially, fare type isn't supposed to influence treatment. In practice, it sometimes does, especially when flights are overbooked or irregular operations begin. A 55-year-old couple once booked the lowest-priced economy tickets through a discount website. When their flight was overbooked, they were among the first passengers removed. Travelers who paid higher fares remained on board. Passengers in higher fare classes are often prioritized when upgrades, rebooking options, or discretionary assistance are available. During overbooked situations, price paid can quietly become one of several factors considered when deciding who gets delayed or bumped. What you can do? Book directly through airlines when possible. Maintain a calm, confident, and polite demeanor. Perception can matter as much as ticket class. If you're involuntarily bumped, ask about compensation. Regulations in many regions require airlines to offer it, depending on circumstances. The phrase to use: "I'd like to understand my compensation options under applicable regulations." Number 6. High-value luggage can be flagged and sometimes targeted. When luggage is checked under premium cabins, priority services, or declared as high value, it can receive internal handling codes that most passengers never see. These markers signal that the bag requires special tracking or care. On paper, that sounds like protection. It alerts staff to handle the bag cautiously. But there's a side airlines rarely discuss. A 41-year-old executive once declared a bag containing roughly $3,000 in camera equipment. The suitcase arrived late, showed signs of tampering, and one lens was missing. Without separate insurance, the airline's liability was limited. The same identifiers meant to safeguard valuable bags can also make them stand out. And in high-volume baggage systems, anything that stands out may draw the wrong kind of attention.
Number 5. Airport cameras can flag elevated stress responses. Most travelers assume airport cameras simply monitor crowds or watch for obvious threats. That's only part of their role. Some airports use advanced imaging and thermal systems designed to highlight unusual heat patterns on the human body. When people are stressed or anxious, blood flow can shift slightly, creating subtle temperature changes around the face, neck, and forehead. These signals don't prove wrongdoing, but they can prompt closer observation. A 29-year-old first-time international traveler appeared visibly nervous at customs. Thermal imaging flagged elevated facial heat patterns. She was pulled aside for additional screening that lasted about 30 minutes. Nothing illegal was found. Her body reacted before she said a word. It's important to be clear, these systems don't identify guilt. They help security staff decide where to look more closely. How to reduce attention? Practice slow, controlled breathing before security. Keep movement steady. Maintain a relaxed posture. If anxiety is an issue, arrive early so you're not rushed. Avoid caffeine before flying. It can elevate heart rate and increase sweating. Number 4. What really happens inside restricted areas? When most people hear the term restricted area, they picture employee-only hallways or secure staff zones. What many travelers don't realize is that passengers can be taken into these areas as well, often without warning and without having done anything clearly wrong. If a security alert is triggered, if documents need verification, or if behavior draws attention, you may be quietly escorted away from public view. This is done deliberately to avoid disruption or panic in busy terminals. A 67-year-old grandmother once found herself taken into a restricted area because the labels on her prescription medications had worn off. She spent nearly 2 hours there while officials contacted her pharmacy back home to confirm the prescriptions. Here's the unsettling part. You're rarely given a clear explanation in advance. You'll hear neutral phrases like, "Please follow us," or "We just need to verify something." You're not under arrest, but refusing to comply can escalate the situation. How to handle it? Remain calm and cooperative. Escalation only slows your exit. Ask politely, "Can you help me understand what this is regarding?" Avoid arguing. Cooperation moves you through faster. If you're held longer than 30 minutes, you can politely ask to contact someone. The phrase that helps: "I'm happy to cooperate. Can you tell me what's needed to resolve this?"
And what comes next doesn't end when the flight does. Number 3. The internal passenger lists airlines don't talk about. Most travelers assume, unless they're on an official government watch list, their travel history resets after each trip. That assumption is misleading. Airlines and airports maintain internal behavior tracking systems designed to flag passengers who may cause disruptions. These are not public lists and they don't require criminal behavior. Arguments with gate agents, aggressive complaints, refusing instructions, or repeated confrontations can all leave a digital record. A 50-year-old businessman once had a heated exchange with a gate agent over a missed connection. 6 months later, on a completely different airline, he noticed a pattern: frequent, random screenings. The extra checks continued for more than a year. Being flagged internally doesn't mean you'll be banned from flying, but it can influence how you're handled, how quickly issues escalate, and how much discretion staff extend. You'll never be told if you're on one of these lists. The codes are internal, the language is vague, passengers don't have direct access. Number 2. Baggage scales can quietly cost you extra money. Most travelers assume a kilogram is a kilogram everywhere. At airports, that assumption can get expensive. Baggage scales are calibrated regularly, but they don't always read identically. The scale at your departure counter can show a slightly different weight than another scale, even inside the same terminal. A 36-year-old family carefully packed their suitcase to exactly 50 pounds at home. At the airport, the scale read 51.2 pounds. They were charged a $100 overweight fee for just 1.2 pounds. Here's the part most people don't know. Some airlines round up, not down. Even being a fraction over the limit can trigger a full overweight charge. Your action plan? Never pack to the exact weight limit. Leave a 2 to 3 pound buffer. Weigh your bag at home. If the reading seems off, politely ask for a recheck on another scale. Carry a small portable luggage scale for future trips. Pro tip: if you're 1 to 2 pounds over, wear your heaviest items, jackets, shoes, and redistribute weight into your carry-on. And now, here's the truth most travelers never hear. Airport security doesn't start watching you when you hand over your passport. It starts the moment you book your ticket. Your booking pattern, payment method, travel history, route, and profile details are analyzed before you ever leave home. A 44-year-old consultant booked a last-minute international flight, paid in cash, and checked no luggage. When he arrived at the airport, he was flagged for enhanced screening before reaching the counter. Nothing he did at the airport caused it. The system had already labeled him higher risk based entirely on his booking profile. This is the invisible layer most travelers never see. By the time you're standing in line, multiple data points have already been evaluated. Your action plan? Book flights in advance when possible. Use credit cards. Cash payments raise flags. Maintain consistent travel patterns. Fully complete your airline profile. Avoid incomplete or mismatched information. Insider move. Programs like TSA PreCheck, Global Entry, or Clear aren't just about speed. They mark you as pre-vetted, which dramatically reduces random screening. The magic phrase, if questioned, "I booked last minute due to work," or "I booked last minute because of a family emergency." Critical safety rules for airports in 2026. These are the golden rules smart travelers follow. Dress boring, act calm, pack smart. Book in advance and use credit cards. Never pack valuables and checked luggage. Stay calm and cooperative if pulled aside. Escalation makes it worse. Know your rights, but choose your battles wisely. The airport isn't random. It's a system quietly evaluating every traveler. What feels like bad luck is often invisible rules working in the background. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Travelers who understand the system move smarter, stay calmer, and avoid unnecessary trouble. But here's what most travelers don't realize. Everything I just told you means nothing if you don't know what to pack and how to pack it. TSA has quietly updated its carry-on rules for 2026, and certain items that were allowed last year are now being confiscated on the spot. One item on that list? 60% of travelers over 50 are carrying it right now. A 58-year-old woman had her prescription medication confiscated because the labels had worn off.
She spent her entire vacation without her blood pressure meds. Watch the next video where I expose 8 items TSA is now confiscating in 2026 and the exact phrases that get you through security without drama. Don't let outdated packing advice ruin your trip. See you there. Watch the next video where I expose 8 items TSA is now confiscating in 2026 and the exact phrases that get you through security without drama. Don't let outdated packing advice ruin your trip. See you there.